So in this video, I'll be going over the Golden Ages, and I'll be mainly focusing on Spain and England. But the beginning of the Golden Ages really started with Renaissance, or like a rebirth of the whole system. And this Renaissance came from like three ideas. The first idea is symbolized by this picture here, and it's humanism. And humanism is basically a newfound admiration for humankind, intelligence, things of that sort, just overall niceness. And also, this picture right here defines secularism, which is more of just preferring logical systems over divine revelation, which is what they used to be based off of. And also Reformation, which is basically that God was still important, but it's not like the absolute main idea. So the main change in England during the Renaissance had to do with the way that theater was shown and performed. This picture is an example of the public theaters, and the public theaters were usually outdoors. The back of the theater and the back of the auditorium could have some roofing, but mainly where people would sit and where the actors would perform on stage would be unroofed. And the audience would also sit on three sides of the stage, kind of like how you would view a peninsula. And some special features about the acting space was that the stage would be raised, and this would allow to have trapdoors for easy in and out exits and entrances. And also, the stage would kind of have two platforms to have a variety of playing fields and everything. And this was very prevalent in Shakespeare's types of plays, to have different levels, to have different differentiations between the actors. And this picture is an example of a private theater, and the private theaters were indoors, and they were roofed, and they were smaller, and they were also more expensive. So usually, richer people would be going to these private theaters. But the special thing about these is that it didn't have to be of royalty to be part of these private theaters. As long as you could pay, you were allowed to go see the show and have a great time. So this is a picture of Shakespeare. Shakespeare is one of the most well-known Renaissance writers. He was also an actor, which got him into writing plays. But some just basics about Shakespeare was that he was born in 1564 in Stratford upon Avon, which is just right outside of London. And he was born into a middle-class family, and he was also born between the ages of the medieval ages and the Renaissance ages. And so he was brought up in the focus of those changes, which also made his mindset and how he would think of himself and how he would write his plays. So he was married to a local woman, but he did not stay long in his hometown. He wanted to go to London to pursue acting, which his father was not very proud of, but his acting got him into the writing. And so he went to England, and he brought all of his writing background and his poetry background, which would really form him into like who he is and who we know him as, William Shakespeare. And so the art of Shakespeare and his contemporaries was an expansive one that filled a large dramatic canvas with portraits of a wide cross-section of humanity engaged in acts of ranging from the heroic to the mundane. That is a quote from our book, and I think it just really emphasizes who Shakespeare is. He was able to do a lot of different types of plays, from like Romeo and Juliet to Hamlet, a love story, to a murderous finding yourself type of story, which really emphasizes the whole Renaissance ideal and the ideas of the Golden Ages. Now, getting into the Spanish Golden Ages, this picture here is actually a picture of a Spanish court theater, which is newer and kind of has some Italian influence in it. But like in England, the Spanish theaters were kind of medieval, had the three-sided audience. In Spain, some of the audience would sit on boxes and not like nice seats like we have today. And the stages had like backgrounds to it, and also had different entrances and exits, had also two stories, just like how we talked about. And the England Golden Ages, they also had trapdoors, kind of the whole same idea. But just like I said earlier, this picture is an example of a court theater, which kind of has a more Italian vibe and architecture to it. A special part about the Spanish Golden Era is that women could be part of the theater company, part of being actors. It was a little bit more restrictive than how men would be, and also women in audience. And this was very restricted. The women had to go in and out of a different entrance. A lot of them wore masks so they wouldn't be recognized. But it was legal for them to perform and also go and see different shows. So this is a picture of Lope de Vega, who was a very famous playwright in Spain. And he had over 500 works, but his most famous one was Fuente o Vejuna. And so he was one of the really recognized Spanish Golden Ages playwright. And another one was also this man right here, who was Pedro Calderón de la Barca. And his famous play was Life is a Dream, which is read about in our book. And that is all I have for the Golden Ages. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and thank you for watching.